And hello there. Hello there. Alright, we're just about ready to get started. I was trying to, as usual, I'm streaming both to YouTube as well as Twitch at the same time, and I keep running into these, yep, that's, okay, good. It's live. I always get a little bit worried because it winds up reacting in a weird way. So I'm never entirely sure how it's going to react. And anyway, it's just you have to get used to a new system. That's all it is. Getting used to a different system. I've spent enough time getting familiar with Twitch and how live streaming on Twitch works out that, well, it's bound to be a little bit of a bump here or there. But alright, so Skerner, you're the first one in. Welcome, boyo. Good to see ya. Good to see you. So, what we're going to be working on today is some more Mega Man costuming. Now, Skerner, I don't think you've been here for a couple of days. Have you seen the, Sorry about that. That probably got weird for a second there. CP Gamer, if you can see this, you're live. Thanks. Anyway, we're going to be working on that. Have you seen all of the stuff in the past, the stuff that we've done? Because I've got all the stuff just right over here that I've already completed, and I'm more than happy to pull it out and show it to you. Was some days ago. Okay. And how about you, CP Gamer 1000? Have you seen the previous pieces? Ice water, but brought to you by the refreshing taste of Coca-Cola. Hey, Rabble, good to see you, man. You've seen the helmet. Good. Well then, in that case, if you've seen the helmet and the breastplate, but you probably haven't seen the shins. So I'll go ahead and, just for the benefit of anybody who hasn't seen any of the previous pieces, I'll just grab them and show everybody. So just 2 shakes. Alright, so they're not exactly super pretty, but the method to my madness is just to make the broad brush strokes, make the big things, and then do the details shortly thereafter. So of course, the helmet, it looks a little Magneto-ish right now. I don't know if that's showing up too well, but you can see there's a little line. Excuse me, there's a little line in here, and that's where I will be making the cuts, because we want this to be a little bit more Mega Man X and a little less Magneto. And these cuts, I think, should do the trick. But that's for later when we pick back up the helmet to make the cuts, do the finishing work, and add the various other things that are going into it. But I can tell you're making this for a cosplay or October the 31st. CP Gamer, you were kind of right. I am making it for Halloween, but I'm actually not much of a cosplayer. Basically, what happened was I thought, it'd be really cool if somebody had done a good costume of Mega Man, and all I could find were just really cartoony ones, and I thought, the world deserves a Mega Man that actually looks a little badass. And so that's what I've been doing. So here's the offhand, the left hand. The blaster is one of the last things that I'm going to work on, because the blaster is going to be the most difficult, since it's going to be a 2-part affair that actually moves around my arm to allow me to use my right hand and then to convert it to blaster mode. It might be spring loaded so that I hit a catch and then it goes forward. Currently, the plan is to have it move in two separate pieces in a parabolic form, and then meet up at the front, covering my hand when I need it, blaster style. Anyway, so there's that. Chest plate. Of course, most of these things are all, are all not entirely finished. But here's the chest plate, and of course it goes on my chest. Yay! The back is what we're going to be working on today, so the piece that meets up to this on the back. And then the shin pieces. Now these shin pieces have been, the pieces have been put together, and the bit has been formed. And what I haven't done yet is I haven't actually added the strapping to the back. I'll be adding elastic onto the back so that it curves around, and hitting it once again with the heat gun so that it curves to roughly the shape that I want. But this is it, and of course everything's going to be painted. This is probably the one place on the suit where you'll actually have the finished edge, the sort of natural design pattern, because it's going to be a sort of underlay thingamajig. Hey skeleton, I'm not on mobile this time. I looked at and I don't see a difference. Yeah, there is no difference between those two, and I ought to get rid of them. What happened was I accidentally uploaded them twice because I forgot, and this was back before Frankerface had a very intuitive, interface. So of course we're streaming both to YouTube and Twitch at the same time. The YouTube chat doesn't play very nicely with the program, so at the current moment I just check that. But the Twitch chat I can have on stream. Hopefully, very soon, I'll be able to get a multi-chat setup that allows me to display both YouTube and Twitch chats together. So yeah, and then after a minute here, after I show you the last of the bits, we'll turn on the music and then get to work. So what we're working on today is the back plate. This is foam torso Mac. So of course the back. For those of you interested in the process, I have actually cut this in half, but this piece was made by me, for me. Mrs. Mac wrapped me in clear plastic wrap, saran wrap, you might have heard it called, and then we wrapped duct tape on top of that. We cut it off of me, and then I put it back together. And for a while, I had it stuffed with blankets and so on and so forth. But now I instead have it stuffed with great foam, the great stuff, the expanding foam that I sprayed in there. So anyway, this is true to life. Yep, Fatty McFatterson over here. I got a little study buddy. But then, after taking this, to get a pattern that's going to be roughly approximate, I took aluminum foil and placed it down in the area. Placed it down in the area, wrapped it around, made sure that it met in the places that it needed to, and then I pulled it off, and of the two sides, I duct taped it while it was on here, mind you, and then pulled it off, made a dart where a dart needed to go so that it would lie flat, and made a couple cleaner edges around the whole thing, and then cut it in half because I really only needed half. At which point, there we go, at which point I folded one of these things from the actual things. In Australia, we call that tinfoil. Well, no, most people call it tinfoil here as well. It's just that it is, in fact, aluminum. It's kind of like when people call... Oh, gosh. I'm trying to think. There are a bunch of things, but none of them are coming to mind right now. But everybody does that. Your family calls it both. Nice. So then what I did is I took the thing here that comes with the anti-fatigue mats, and one of the things that's nice about this for a sort of layout is that this paper, when completely full, is actually a little bit smaller than the size of the foam mats. So you know if you can fit your pattern onto one of these things, you know you'll be able to get a one mat design. So yeah, that's encouraging. Now with regards to this, just folded it in half, took the pattern. This side came out best after reviewing each half independently, so I cut the foil thing in half with the duct tape, put the dart in there, and made a little bit. You'll notice that it's just a touch off. This, for example, here will mostly be, if I have to take this in, then I know I can cut right down the middle, cut a dart of about that big, and then there, and just sort of, that's how it goes. So, all of that being said, indeed. So all of that being said, and Mrs. Mack just came home, so everybody welcome Mrs. Mack and tell her that she is awesome.
Hey, everybody.
Points to people who do so. So yeah. Anyway, that kind of catches you up to what I've worked on since there. Indeed it does. Part of the Frankerface Z stuff is that I can make my own custom mod emote, and my choice was for Rabble Says Hello, and so I chose for Erlenmeyer Flask. Finithson, that's right. Finithson. Well, I'll let her know when she gets back. She just left the room, but thank you for saying hey, everybody. So anyway, just wanted to catch you up as to the work that I was doing while not streaming, because a lot of people watch this stuff because they want to know how to do it themselves. And Skeleton says, hey, good. I will catch her up on your salutations just as soon as she comes back. Winston. Yes, what about Winston? I have Winston upstairs, not down here. So I could have Winston, bring Winston down. But anyway, yeah. A lot of you are very interested in the process and interested in knowing how it works and how to do this so that you can do it yourselves. And yeah, so I just want to make sure that both here on stream, as well as the people who watch it, who watch this later, archived on YouTube and such, that you are able to get an idea of the whole process. So for those of you who are old hands at this or know how it works, I'm sorry. This is just as much a stream for the noob as I was, and I consider myself to still be. Winston is the mascot of this channel, unofficially, of course. Mega Man is the official mascot. So yeah, so if anybody has any questions, while there will be a lot of time for questions and answers as we go, but I'm going to get into this unless anybody has something pressing. Hey Zine, how's it going? Welcome back, boyo. And yes, weekends do rock, even though it's still the week for me. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and... Yurga. There we go. Just a little bit of something there. Ah! Winston Churchill. Mrs. the Mac. Okay, when she comes down, I'll tell you. So, time for a fresh sheet, and we'll get to work on this. Skeleton, is this one of those circumstances where you want us to actually guess, or you want us to just say, what? Because I'm going to assume it's the former and not the latter, and say, you have recently become heir to a large fortune, which includes a castle, and you are inviting us all for a wicked awesome pool party and just all around good time at your new castle. How close am I? Oh hey, you're getting into a new place. Very cool. I hope that that's a good thing, of course. I imagine you probably would have used different emotes, and you probably wouldn't have used an exclamation point if it wasn't something that you wanted. So, so a preemptive congratulations. Okay. Now, those of you who've been here for a little while know that I tend to make... the occasional mistake or two. I know that might seem hard to believe, but I do. And as such, I'm going to give myself a little bit of extra room along this outside. So, yeah. Let's go ahead. Start scribing it down. Actually, I can't seem to see my pins anywhere. Give me just a moment. I'm going to pin this thing down to the foam so that it doesn't move around during markering. So, just 2 shakes. Alright, I'm back. So, I wish that I could have found them. As it turns out, I can't seem to locate them anywhere. But I found some push pins. So, that'll have to do. I would much prefer the sewing pins because they, they're smaller. But, oh well. C'est la vie. But, to introduce you all to Winston. Winston the Kiwi. Yes, indeed, Winston the Kiwi. The endangered animal kiwi. And so, Winston... Yeah, let's put Winston right here for now. He doesn't like to sit... Yeah. He likes to just do his own thing. You know what? I just don't feel comfortable pinning these things being that large in there. I'm sure that I could make it work, but you know what? I'm just gonna hold it down. Just gonna hold it down with the kniffy, and that should be enough weight. I really would like to pin it, but something about the size of those, just too much for me to feel comfortable with. I feel like it's going to cause us problems later on down the road when we're trying to heat. That those pin holes will open much wider when we're heating and shaping, so I'm just going to risk doing it this way. I'm glad that you like him. And Winston likes you too. As a matter of fact, if I ever wound up going through the trouble to get a robot in here, I would probably name it Winston. I know a lot of people have robots in their chats, some of which to moderate, others to run little games and such, like the heists and things like that. I've never wound up actually making anything on any of those heists that the robots do. It's always just been lose, lose, lose for me. Winsbot. Ooh, yeah, that could do it. But then I'm afraid people wouldn't quite make the connection. And if Winbot, they'd be like, oh, is this your contest bot? Is that you big Windows guy? Something like that. I think, but we can figure out a good name for a Winston Robot. Alright. And that's all there is to it. When you have a system like that. Really? You guys like that? Winstonotron. Winstonotron. I like it. You know, Rabble is not only the person who made the Erlenmeyer Flask moderator badge, but also Rabble named Winston, because Rabble's been here for quite some time. And you know what? I just kind of realized that looked a little suggestive. So, gosh. Oh, a touch too suggestive, you know? Oh, Winstonimus Prime. Oh, I like where your head is at. That's good. I'm liking that. I know, you see, what I will say is that I must commend everybody in the stream on their maturity, because I don't think that many people would have handled that with quite as much decorum as you guys. Oh. Okay. Let's put that over here. Rabble, thank you very much for the retweeting and the favorite. Much appreciated. So yeah, Winston the Kiwi. Alright, so here's what we're up to now. We're going to go ahead and cut it. Now, fortunately, none of these cuts need to have a, anything other than a sheer, sheer 90-degree cut. Darth Winston, or Winston Skywalker. Ooh. I like Winston Skywalker. I've always been much more of a light side, person myself. You know, never really wound up doing well, even in Knights of the Old Republic, when you could do dark side characters and such. I never really wound up having a good go with any of the dark side ones. I always was like, oh, but now I feel guilty for being a jerk. There are enough people like that in the universe. They don't need me. We don't need me pretending to be one for the sake of a video game. Okay. So anyway, we'll just do this rather basically. Don't want to accidentally cut the headphone cord there. That would be a travesty. Now, one of the things that, after you've done this for a couple of days, a couple of times, that you'll learn, if you didn't already know it, is that it's much more difficult to add more material to your piece than it is to shave material off, just in, like, whether you're talking about with a Dremel tool or anything else. So much more difficult to add than to subtract. So, my advice is to always give yourself more material than you need to. I mean, consider if you wind up screwing something else by making it too small, you might have to burn through a whole nother thing, a whole nother piece to make it again, a piece of foam, which comes out to around the neighborhood of $2 to $3 a piece. But if you wind up just giving yourself plenty of room, you might actually be better off, even though you might think you're economizing on it if you're not taking account for that. Hey, Triple L, how's it going? Triple L showed up over on YouTube. Good to see you, man. Use those lemon emotes. People might think it's an actual kiwi like the fruit. True, much like Triple L's a fruit. Let's see, then again. Though the Obey is badass, you gotta love the goodies, yeah? You always choose the dark side. Yeah. Yes, Winston's fallen over. Warp. And he will continue to do so throughout tonight, but people need and I think showcasing his lovable side, just like that. I think that's the right course of action. So yeah, I do best with straight cuts pulling toward me. I don't do quite as well when I'm going away from me, of course, but that's true of everybody. You just have more control on that. Mac, can I add you on Steam? I just got it the other day. Sure, Skeleton, you're welcome to add me on Steam. However, one caveat. You're gonna have to find me. I am sure you will have no trouble finding me on Steam, frankly. Winston the Woolly. Oh, hey, Fluffy, how's it going? The project's coming along pretty well. Got the shins done the other day. Hey, aren't you supposed to be over there having a good time in Dave's channel? What brings a highly successful moderator for such a large and partnered stream into little old my place, eh? It's the Kiwi, isn't it? I knew it. Everybody loves the Kiwi. Winston the Kiwi for the win. Okay. A lot of green names in the chat today. Not a complaint, just an observation. Oh, you are in Dave's channel. Well, guess what? So am I. I'm right behind you. No, seriously, I've got Dave's channel open in another thing, and I pop in every so often, and pop out, accumulating those souls, so that someday I can have a chance at winning one of his raffles. But my luck's terrible. Terrible. So, all right. Nice use of the Illuminati emote there. Just going to come back in here and start fresh here. I'll check chat in just a second. I know that between me doing this and not looking at the chat and the 30-second delay, it feels like ages before I ever get back to you when you have a question. And I'm sorry for that. If only the elders of the internet had asked me what I thought about this whole stream delay thing, then, well, we'd be in a different place, frankly. But they didn't. I was never consulted by the elders of the internet. So, we just have to play the hand we're dealt, I suppose. Okay, let's see here. Well, that was easy. Really? I doubt that. But yeah. if it was hacked, somebody should have at least had the decency of, hacking it in my favor. You know what I mean? It's a shame they didn't just go that. Go to Camfrog. Instant stream. I'm afraid I don't quite understand. You just noticed that 6 out of 7 of your friends on Steam are away. Well, I can tell you what, and one thing, I'm certainly not in-game on Steam, Triple L. Camfrog. Instant stream. Okay. Fresh tip. Well, fresh bit of the tip. Camfrog is a live stream. Instant. Really? Interesting. On Twitch? Or are you talking about it's a live stream service? Although, interestingly enough, I've found that I've been using Restream to stream to YouTube and Twitch at the same time, and I find that lag is chat lag and everything is much lower using Restream than it is just streaming straight to Twitch. Okay, gotcha. It's a different service. Yeah, you just found it interesting. Did you know that yesterday was the most common? Let's see, was it? So mean is average, median is middle, mode is most occurring. It is yesterday was the modal birth date in the United States. So, if you are in the United States, if you're ever in the United States and someone's like, hey, guess my birthday, you should guess September 17th. Because you are statistically most likely to be right, no other information needed. Now, if you want to get it right, you should probably get other information if you want to get that one right. But if you can't, then that is the guess. That's the guess to make. September 17th. Dun 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 dun. I like to offer a service where we talk about, things. Crazy things. Oh no. You can get multiple videos up at the same time. Yes, indeed. I've been contemplating, for example, Mr. Nice Guy. I thought I got rid of you. Oh, nope, this is what I cut off the bottom. But that was a nice cut. Look at that. I would have confused it for a normal edge piece. So, for example, Mr. Nice Guy and I, we do our gaming talk show on Tuesdays, and I've been contemplating what would be a good way to get that gaming talk show. I'd love to not only have it on his stream, but on mine, and with Restream I can, but that would require us to stream from PC instead of from PS4 like he likes to do. But to be fair, a lot of his audience is strictly PS4, and if you are not streaming from the PS4, you can't be viewed on Twitch through the PS4's Twitch app. Otherwise, at least that's what I'm given to understand, which is a darn shame, of course. How is Hitbox nowadays? As far as I'm aware, the delay is pretty similar to what they had before. Pretty low delay. But my first few streams, actually, I did stream on Twitch a couple of times, and then I streamed on Hitbox for a while. And Hitbox was alright. It has, however, what with their partnering everybody and revenue share for everybody, wound up, convincing a lot of small streamers like myself, because I'm a small streamer, to go over there to Hitbox. And sadly, it's a little flooded. And I'm not streaming on YouTube because welcome back, Triple L. And I'm not streaming on YouTube as well as Twitch right now because I feel like it's as useful, but let's face it, YouTube does a better job of archiving they're archiving their stuff. So if I want this stuff to last more than the 60 days and to be easier to access from people, then YouTube is where I want it to be. So it's mostly as an archival thing, because similar things happened with the YouTube gaming. Suddenly everybody, but I did some live streams way back in the day where I streamed showing people how to edit together some video footage. Now granted, my internet was terrible back then, and it's still pretty bad now. My internet, it is probably one of the worst that I know of, but it's, that's dumb. I don't have money and I'm required to pay $5 before I can add a friend? Really? Oh, right. Because they don't want you, on YouTube, they don't want you, abusing your accounts without having spent some amount of money, and I think $5 was that minimum cap. Sorry about that, Skeleton, sorry. So, very frequently, I have people say stuff to me lately, since I've been working on this project, say things like, "Oh man, that's so cool, I couldn't possibly do what you're doing." Yes, you can. Do you remember Ratatouille? And it was, and what was the title of that book? Everyone, or Anyone Can Cook? Yeah, this is just the same way. Anyone can do this. I mean, case in point, I'm succeeding to some extent in this, and I am no good. No good at all. And you know what? Sorry, I shouldn't gesture at you with the knife. I realize that's a little faux pas, but Mrs. Mac has asked me to make her a costume after I'm done with this. A Samus costume. So, I'm interested to see. And furthermore, she was like, and we should go to cons. So, I'm a little deer in the headlights right now about that concept. I mean, I have nothing against cons. I go to conventions all the time. But mostly Mac is like, yes, you can. But it is one of those things where, thanks for that, Triple L. It is one of those things where it's like, I've always gone in a more professional sense as a reporter, as a news person. So it'll be a little interesting going as. Is it accurate to call cosplayers and costumers an attraction? Because that's kind of what it feels like. It feels to me like people who go in costume to these conventions as characters are being a form of attraction at the convention. They are letting people take photos with them. I don't know. Maybe I've got an inaccurate view of how this, of how it works. Having never been, and having only just heard mostly third-hand, occasionally some brief second-hand reports, maybe I just have an inaccurate view of how cosplayers, of how conventions are. So, yeah. Maybe. Hey, Zach Attack, I've been good. Alright, take it easy, Fluffy. Thanks for coming by. I'm Obama or Oprah. Well, I sadly have almost nothing in common with either the president or Mrs. Oprah, Mrs. Winfrey. But I will. But I do appreciate that. I am a motivating person. It's good to know. So anyway. There we go. That's that. That's the back piece. Now I'm going to pull up the big dummy again, and we'll have a look at that. And you can see in a bit better detail how exactly it's supposed to sit. So this is the back. I put a B on it for back. Now, as you can see from the picture over here, I don't actually need this to go all the way down. I just kind of want it to go a little bit of the way down. And so, like so, and it'll come in here and connect to the other one. Same thing on the opposite side, and this arm piece will come up here and connect. And I already know that I've put more on here than I need so that I can trim either side to make the connection fit right. But once again, if you do more, if you put more on there than you need, then it's much easier. So, knock on foam, this should work out well. On that project of yours, if by this project, if by that you mean this project, I am progressing nicely. So yeah. Anyway, now this torso is also going to be helpful because we're going to need to use the heat gun and shape this thing. And it'll be hard for me to shape it on my own back while I'm heating it, as I'm sure you can understand, which is why the extra time to make this thing was well worth it. So I'm just going to pull the extension cords around, grab the heat gun, and get ready for that. 2 shakes. You know, that is an interesting thought, Skeleton. I'm not entirely sure. Because, well, maybe it could be, but I don't know. This is the song? This is the song you like? Glad to be of assistance. So, be sure to let me know if you dislike the sound from the thing, and I can flip my microphone off while I'm working on this. I want to be careful not to heat the self-healing mat, because it tends to crinkle up a little bit, and that's less than awesome when it does that. Heating up foam, heating up foam, heating up phone. Phone, heating phone, heating foam became heatin' phone. 'Cause that makes all the sense in the world. Now, I'm sure the camera isn't going to capture this, but as you run the heat gun over this, the raw edge of the foam actually changes a little bit more to resemble a finished edge, which is kind of fun. Kind of fun to watch that. Sir Moustache! Sir Moustache. Moustache, sir. Jesus Torres. Thank you very much, Sir Moustache, for the follow. And Jesus Torres, welcome on YouTube. Thank you for giving me that feedback on the volume level of this. Oh, hang on just a second, folks. Sorry about that. You know what? That's because I'm an idiot. I should have been watching the levels because I've got the preview here, right in front of me, and I should be watching the levels, but I wasn't. And yeah, sorry about that. So, in case nobody heard earlier, I was saying that I had a phone call and I wanted to check it and see if I had to call back, if that was necessary right now. But I left my microphone off. So, yeah. Yep, probably my finest hour, frankly. You know, I mean, just if we're honest. Probably my finest hour. In all likelihood. So yeah, heating both sides allows for the best malleability of these pieces. Okay. Keeps getting hooked on my chair, which is less than desirable. And then we'll just hold it at a little bit more of a, a pull than we need, and give it there. I'm downloading stuff on Steam at the same time. That would definitely do it, clogging up your download. Okay, so I can pull out the hot glue and start going on this thing, but love the implication. But I think we're probably best off if I double check first and see about this. You know, I think we can bend a little bit more here. Actually, let me grab my ballpoint pen. I think if we heat here, and we heat here, and then bend them that way, that'll be good. We will then need to do a little bit of bending here along this bit, and that should be good. So those, if you can see that, I just made, I didn't make them too dark, but there we go. You can see the two right there, and then there's the third one up there, and it's turning it this way will probably be more helpful. Yeah, there we go. You can just see those three marks in my from my pen here, and I'll heat and bend across those almost as if they were edges. So, yeah, that should help this sit better on this dummy. And because this cast is, of course, of me, it would help it sit better on me as well. It will help it sit correctly. So, yeah, let's see here. So, yeah. Let's start right here. Give that a second or so to heat up. And that seems about right on the inside. Now, of course, the danger is heating up one spot and not ruining the stuff that I've made in the previous spots. So I'm just going to bend this about like so, about a 45-degree angle using the table here. We'll hold it here for a second, you know. Good music. We'll hold it here for a second, let it sort of figure out its, that this is where it is now. This is its home. This is its staying point. And so as you can see, it has. Now, it's got that, you can actually fairly clearly see a bit there. And I'm not concerned about there being these sorts of edges in here. Alright, sounds like a plan, Skeleton. We'll see you when you get back. I'm not worried about there being a sort of edge-looking thing here, because of course... Yes, exactly. Let the music guide me. I'm not worried because I think that above all else, we can count on this, just sort of looking right, looking more like something industrial. Because after all, that's really what we're aiming for. What we're trying to accomplish here is to make a Mega Man costume that looks less cartoony and more like something that if Mega Man existed in real life, how he would look. That's the point here. That's the idea. That's the vision. The vision of this project. Okay, that should probably be enough. And again, we'll do about like that. Okay, that'll be fine for the moment. After we get it all connected and together, I think I'll probably come back here with the heat gun and heat it up a little bit more and just sort of give a bit more rounding to this. But we'll see how I feel about it in a bit. Now I'm going to make that bend right here across the top. So, of course, welcome to everybody who's watching this on YouTube. I'm simultaneously streaming to both YouTube as well as Twitch at the same time. When we're all done with this live stream, YouTube will, of course, have an archived version available for you to watch. As a matter of fact, if you've missed any of the previous work that we've done, like with the chest plate, with the shins, with the left arm, you can find all that on YouTube. But yeah, welcome to everybody on all the internets. On all the internets, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Okay. So, Rabble, I know you don't get into politics that much, but any strong feelings about the recently ousted Prime Minister, wasn't it? Okay, that's better. We need more of a curve on this, on these two, and when we get this, we'll want to curve these in as well. Man, quite a bit more curve on these. Let me just take a look here. Oh yeah, a lot more curve on these, and a lot more curve on this too. You know what? Kinda thinking I should make these darts wider. Or yeah, wider so that it comes in more like so. Yeah, let's do that. We're going to make these about another, I don't know, centimeter or so wider so that we get there, because it's just, we're going to wind up in this position where we want this to come in a lot farther, but this piece, you know, we're not going to have that. And we don't need it to come flat in, we kind of want it to wrap around a little bit. So I'm going to take an extra centimeter or so off of the edge here, off of this leading edge, and let me just mark out my centimeters here. Actually, let's do half of a centimeter. No need to get crazy. Little steps. Little steps. Steps that, you know, that won't make the whole project change its nature if we wind up, you know, making something that we didn't care much for. So let's see here. Thanks, Rabble. Much appreciated. Ugh. Yeah, I'll just be doing these cuts freehand. These small cuts like these, I just can't get right with a straight edge. But oh well. Could be worse. Not sure how, but it could be. That's a good question. So, first off, I'll be using something called Plastidip. I'll be using Plastidip for the base coat, and that will be good for giving the paint something to bond to. But after getting the Plastidip dipped on there, then we'll just use some paint, probably automotive paint. I'm still kind of debating, but let me grab the piece that's been Plastidipped so that you guys can see that. So this was an early piece, and by early I do mean very early. Before I even started streaming the process, I did some test pieces. But this piece here was Plastidipped, and you'll notice that it gives it that shine. Most of the pieces will be intended to have a sort of metallic look to them, as if they were metal. So there will be a metallic silver, well, a metallic base coat. Sorry, let me just get that away from my mouth a bit. A metallic base coat, and then the metallic paint on top of that. So this one, just a test piece. But for example, this chest piece is going to be blue. It's going to be Mega Man blue, if you will. But what we'll do is we'll cover it in coat it in Plastidip, several coats, and then after that we'll use a metallic paint on top of it, and then after the metallic paint we'll come through and we'll put that Mega Man blue on there. And once that Mega Man blue's on there, it should look about right, but we'll just basically reassess it when we get to that point. Sorry about that. We'll worry about that in a bit. That's not pressing. So alright, so that'll help contribute to a better curve, and I think that should be good. Alright, I'm gonna do a little bit more heating of this piece. Okay. Now I'm trying to do basically everything all at once, kind of progress every individual piece to the same general point in production, and then move each individual piece. So, for example, I want to get all the base pieces done. I'm talking both, we're talking both the chest piece, get the chest piece its basic components done, and then take the what's it calls it's and then take the and then get the chest piece there, and then the back piece there, all to the same generally formed, generally ready bit, and then after that we'll work on embellishments. And then after embellishments, we'll work on Plastidip. And then after Plastidip, we'll do painting. Just so that I can get the entire armor sort of ready and progressing all in the same general way, at the same general pace. I want to be able to see it taking form all together instead of, getting one piece completely done. And that's why right now it's a lot of work like this. A lot of, let's do the pattern, let's Dremel this, let's glue this, let's heat that. Because at the end of the day, all that stuff has to get done first, and I'm the type of person that likes to work all the stuff in one go at a time. Get all that stuff worked out together at once. So, I'm sorry. On the plus side, though, after this back piece, the only thing we really have to worry about is thighs, codpiece, and shoes. And I honestly have almost no idea how I'm going to do the shoes. Almost, but not quite. No idea how on earth I'm going to do the shoes. But you know what? It's something that we will discover together. A lot of places where I've had no idea of what to do, I've used EVA foam Mass Effect armor plans to give myself a general guideline and ideas as to what to do for this piece, what to do for that, how things should come together. And it's been incredibly helpful. The little bit of time that I've spent working, trying to understand those patterns have been invaluable for this project. Even if I'm not using those patterns anymore, even if I'm not, using them at all, just the understanding that I've gained from learning how those things fit together has made all the difference in the world. So if you are trying to make your own pattern, your own costume, as I am here, then I cannot speak more highly of finding a costume similar and learning how to do that, because, my goodness, so useful. So very useful. No questions there. I would not have as much confidence in what we're doing right now if I hadn't learned from the Mass Effect armor pieces. Oh, no. Not even a little bit. Now, I'm actually just going to kind of fold this circularly and hope that it holds about where I want it. I think it will. So, anybody have any fun plans for the weekend? Oh, I think that's going to be just what the doctor ordered. Now, the only downside is right here, we want to transform it from being this sort of cylindrical bit into being something a bit more flat to connect. So let me just see. Oh, it's gonna be fantastic. Oh, perfect. Perfect. That should give me the clearance that I need. But now, right here, we need to... Okay, so I'll show you. Sorry. Sometimes I forget that you can't see what I can see. You can just kind of see stuff on the camera. So anyway, but we don't want it to go straight up here. We want it to flatten out up here, which is part of the reason why we put those darts in there. So that this sort of a transition from circular to flat would be assisted by the darts here. So, if we heat right here and bend this, I think that should give us just what we need. So, more heat gun. I have a fever, and the only prescription is more heat gun. Now, I actually, after I get done with this, I'll take a short break to call some people back, answer some requests and phone calls that I've had today. And then, when I'm all done with that, I actually intend on practicing a little bit for a marathon race that I was invited to, that I'll be doing as part of the Retro Games Live TV Twitch channel. So, yeah. So I'll be doing a little bit of practice, learning how to zip. Good. I'm glad that you appreciated that. Now, in retrospect, as I'm seeing this come together, I kind of think that the darting that I did over here would have been better served by being up here instead of down there, right where the actual transition's going to happen. Now, I'm pretty sure I can actually make it work, but these are the kinds of things that, I mean, this is my first build. These are naturally things that I expected to learn how to do kind of as I was making it. So yeah, but a good hint, because you see how this very easily, right here, very easily at the darting makes that sort of transition from round to flat very easily. And what we'll do is we'll wind up gluing it here, but I can't help but think that if I had darted up here, that this would have been a little bit. All right, good night, Skirner. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you later. So yeah, and we'll wind up, doing something a bit like that. But it should go just fine nonetheless. So let's go ahead and pull back up Foam Mac and see how it's going. All right, so already it's going much better, much better. We need a bit more of a curve up here in the shoulder region. Well, I don't know, just 2 shakes, folks. So, alright, I'm back. I think Mrs. Mac wanted to say hello to everybody. She's giving me that glare. That means she definitely does want to say hello to everybody.
I'm not glaring.
Okay. She's not glaring, folks. She's definitely not glaring. But anyway, when she's has a second, she'll come over here and wave hello. I like this song. This is a good one. Okay, and we'll go ahead and give ourselves that little bit of bend here that we need. Sharper on the inside than on the outside, and just hold it. Do 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 do. It's a fun angle to be at. Thank you very much. And just in a second or so, when chat catches up to real time, they'll be saying, "Oh, Mrs. Mac, that's hilarious." Oh, well, Rabble says that's a weird hello. And now he's just catching up to you hopping in front of the camera, and he's laughing. Ah ha 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 ha. Oh, he has. I certainly will. And he has already said hi back. He was in the early group, the first group, the group of people who was here when it all began. Remember back when you were the same height? Ah, those were the days. An interesting thing happened the other day, Rabble, when I was on a Skype call with Terry. An embarrassing thing happened when I was on a Skype call with Terry. Mrs. Mac will have to tell you that, or better yet, I'll have to tell you that when we're gearing up to stream the next time that we do a Friday night stream and you can come around. Oh, I would love to, but, Oh, well, I'll just tell them when we're gearing up for the next stream together on a Friday night. Or on a Saturday afternoon, in your case. Oh, man, it must be ungodly early where you are right now. Okay. So, that's the back piece. Now I'm just going to drop foam Mac there and let me grab that. Okay, so as I made clear earlier, 8:49 a.m. Okay, that's not too shabby. So as I made clear earlier, I've put more stuff, I've put more foam than's necessary to connect these pieces. At work, blah, but I need the money. Yeah, true. So, for example, I know that this goes farther down the back than we need. But again, because it would be so much harder to take those things and put them together. Now, another thing is I'm actually adding an additional piece, which you haven't seen yet. Forgive the yellow coloring of it. I already had it cut out. So actually, this will nestle inside of the chest piece, extending the reach in the back a little bit. And when we connect it up to the top, this will reach down and just about come to the bottom of where it is in the back, and link the front and the back properly. Now, what I am going to do, however, is I'm going to get these two pieces together and this back piece together, and I'm going to cut. There's going to be a sort of angled bit here, and I'm going to make my mark there and cut that, because that is where the chest piece is going to rest here into the back. Well, it gives it the sort of this is the way that I give it a triple layered effect on the front without actually having to go 3 layers deep of foam. And so yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to test fit this back piece real quick before we bust out the hot glue gun. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, good. Yeah, I can work with that. That'll be good. And then, of course, a little test fit of the front. I know that you can't see this from your angle, so it's not quite as funny, or fun, but rest assured. Okay. Well, good. Welcome back, Skeleton. You missed Mrs. Mac coming in and pulling a funny face. So, alright. Now, as I've got this seated on me, I've noticed a couple of things. Number one, I need to trim the shoulders back on the back piece. I need to trim them in. Hang on, I'm just going to measure this real quick. I need to trim them in by about 3 centimeters on the back where they will meet the chest piece. And aside from that, actually, these things should fit fairly well flush together. Maybe just a little bit of modification, but 3 centimeters on each side of the chest piece. And again, this is one of those things where if somebody else had made the pattern, I might have gone a little bit, I might have been a little bit less cautious. But because it was me, and because I expected there to be issues, I figured there. So now, on this pattern, on this master pattern, I'm going to make the comment, sort of make the little marks, some of the changes that we've done, because we have changed a couple of things. So let me just put our 1/2 centimeter and we went in here from the same point out to here. There we go. So now we've got a new mark there, and I'm pretty confident that we'll be cutting in these back pieces by about 3 centimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and make that mark here. And that being the case, we'll of course be adjusting our pattern down like so. And now all of this, while none of this is exact, and it's all sort of subject to change, making marks like this are going to be useful if I ever want to use the same pattern again, the same style again, to do something else. Let's see. From subbing to someone? No, let's see. Who is it? Cosmo Wright. Cool, very cool. I have emotes as well. I have emotes as well from subbing to someone. More than one person, actually. I have, there are a few people to whom I have subscribed. Let's see. Yep. Now, naturally, it would have been great if I could have figured this out before I wound up bending it, because it'll be harder to get a straight cut on a bent piece. Now, actually, I'm going to double check this against the chest piece, and my 3 centimeters is just about right. It's actually about 2.5 centimeters. Faxes Mac some pizza. Oh, thanks. So let me just go for 2.5 centimeters instead. Okay, I'll just mash this up real quick. Yep, 2.5 centimeters is perfect. Can you feel the attraction? Alright, so now we'll just come in on each side, 2.5 centimeters. Energy is lines, electricity. The love running through like electricity. Okay, 2.5 centimeters. And now on this side, come into 2.5 centimeters. Good, good. So now that being the case, we'll go ahead and make the cut. I see myself terminating somewhere right down here with this additional cut. And so, yeah, we'll try to flatten this out and then reshape it if we have to. Okay. Then we'll just curve it like so. Okay. Now, gonna use this to know where I should terminate over here. Curse you, unfinished edge. Now, if push comes to shove and I need to, later on I'll clean this up with the Dremel. But for right now, I should be able to. Yeah, that piece is definitely going to need some adjustment on the Dremel. But for a nice freehand cut, not too shabby. About the same length, about the same width. This side, has a little bit more. This is a little bit shallower. This is just a little bit deeper here at the terminus. But you know what? Not too shabby, and I think it'll be fine, and I can always touch it up later with the Dremel tool. Alright. That should be good. Let's have let's grab the chest plate and have a little look here. Okay, cool, and both these sides meet up reasonably well. I'll need to make some modifications, probably to the chest piece. Angle these a little bit better and attach them here at the top. But let's actually see if I can't. I've got some duct tape around here. Let's just throw some duct tape on there. And get a general idea for how it looks. This is called Future Vibes, if you didn't know. So, alright, I'm going to adjust the camera real quick, and you'll get a chance to see this on me. Thank you kindly, Rabble. I'm glad that you like it. So, yeah. Naturally, it needs work. But this is an ever-evolving process. It has been in the past. I've made a lot of changes since I've started, and it'll continue, and the changes will continue to be made. But as it goes on and as it presses forward, I'm getting better at this. Anyway, basically, the thing that I'm fighting against right now is this piece at the front needing to sit a little bit tighter here so that it doesn't, give me all that space. I've got my man boobs, but they're not quite that pronounced. So, a little bit more shaping and get this thing sort of there and cutting a little bit closer to the chest here. Should be pretty good for it. So I'm actually going to do a little bit of heating of the chest plate here because I think it needs it. Now, of course, it's already been glued, so with the high temperature glue like this, you want to be careful not to use too much heat when you're making adjustments, because what you don't want is you don't want to actually undo the adhesive strength of the glue that you've already put on there. So this could take a second, but let's get that warm. And we're just heating up the center line. And we're going to leave the wings completely alone. No heat on those wings, because they are just right as they are. Focus a little bit more right there on the underside where I know this armor is thickest. Okay, that's malleable. This bit, not quite as much so. Okay. There we go. Better, but not quite there yet. So we're just gonna hold that for a little bit at a sharper angle than we actually need, so that when we put it on, it comes around a bit better. Okay, so let's look at what we've got. Okay, flare the top piece back out. I figured such might be the case. Because we don't need it like that anymore. Just in line by surprise. Now I'll need to go back and use some more hot glue because I didn't need to have this top edge as solidly pressed together. But now that I've changed the geometry, I actually need to reinforce that so that this plate meets up with the back a bit more seamlessly. Of course, that doesn't need to happen right this second, but it needs to happen sometime before painting. Alright, now this actually fits better against the chest, even though it doesn't grip as well at the top, so it does fall forward. But let me bring up the foam torso so that you can see what I'm talking about. Now, you'll recall there was quite a pronounced, open area on the chest, and it's much less pronounced now. And as it connects to the shoulders up here and to the back around here, it'll be a lot better. It'll give just enough room for motion, of my chest, but not so much that it looks crazy. So, yeah. That's much better. And so now I'm going to just compare it to the back plate and see how well the two meet up now that I've made that adjustment. And I imagine, yep, just as I suspected, they meet up a whole heck of a lot better now. A whole heck of a lot. So, here we go. Now, I'm debating on as to whether or not to put fabric here and glue it to the fabric and then have it sort of as kind of a hinge, or, and you know what, I kind of feel like that's the way I want to go with this. I don't want to actually glue this straight together because I want a bit more, like that, for getting in and out, and then elastic, or not elastic, but Velcro on the back. Now, of course, once again, if you notice here, hang on, there'll need to be a little bit of adjustment, but here, it's actually not quite going to meet, which is why we'll have it come up like so, and we'll have this sub-portion here, right here, that'll just about hook up as it sweeps backward. And so the plan will be to actually, yep, that was working too well, to actually cut the overlap, not in the front, but in the back, so that what happens is that the side comes around and grooves in to this area right here with this piece. Hang on, let me just put that, with this piece here serving as a backing to make that connection nice and solid. Now, I'm thinking that if that's the case, instead of doing Velcro, hook and loop Velcro, that instead what we're probably best off doing is actually putting a magnet down here to actually just come in and magnetically hook these two things together. So I'm going to have to toy around with that, and before we can proceed really on the back plate there, we're going to need to Dremel this bottom edge here all the way around so that we can actually properly glue this piece down here. Hang on, let me get it centered. So that we can properly glue this piece down here to the chest piece, and then have it, figure out exactly where we're going to cut for the back plate. Now, that being said, I think there are at least a couple of more things that we can do before we say till next time, and one of those will be to just take a quick look at the photo, to the right, and determine what's exactly going to happen there. Now, it's obvious from the photo, from the drawing, that X has a sort of box up here, which that should be easy enough. Depending upon how much we want to make that protrude, I think that should be pretty easy to do. I think I'm just going to do one full thickness piece of EVA foam right here for that. But now, on the opposite side, we've got these two smaller boxes here that come out and here, and they are in fact, straight, but they're here on this sloped side. And we'll have to make sure that we add those once we actually have a finalized idea of what we want with the shape. I'm 99% sure that this is the shape that we want, this curve here. But nonetheless, what that will require is it'll require multiple pieces, probably 2, maybe 3. And what we'll do is we'll make a box, we'll make a block essentially, and we'll place it here. Naturally, it'll be square in nature, coming in through the plane. Or I should say this cuts through the plane. That's probably more accurate, more Cartesian. And then what we'll do is we'll actually take it and we'll cut through it so that it now fits. And then we'll do the same for the other side. That way, what we get is we get a nice piece that goes like so down here at the bottom, and they're going to be reasonably. Sorry, nose is acting up, and they're going to be reasonably rectangular and squat. So they're not going to be huge, but they're going to be just sort of like that. So that's my thinking. If anybody has any quick ideas on that, be thrilled to hear them. But while I'm waiting for you guys to catch up to me IRL, I think I'm going to get started on that square piece for the back. Now again, this is one of those things where it's like, I'm in uncharted territory. I'm just kinda, by guess and by golly, trying to figure out how best to do this. So let's see here. I think that I'll use this bit of foam here. Let's see. I think, yeah, it's about 12 centimeters wide and 6 centimeters deep. So that makes it rectangular and not square, like I was saying. But you know, semantics. You know, the more I think about it, the more I think it's got to be something closer to 8 centimeters. Okay. This is also a pretty good song. Yikes. Ugh. Could I possibly have ruined that more? Yes, I submit to you I could. Don't know how, but I could have. Somehow, I would have found a... Oh well. Powering on, I'll have to just fix that with the Dremel. This song here always makes me think, double rainbow all the way across the sky. Yeah, yeah, it's so intense. Oh, no worries. No worries, Rabble. So, the thinking is, we'll place this here in the back, right at about here-ish, is where it belongs. And then here, we'll be stacking this about 4 high, and then we'll actually be chopping it. We'll be chopping it so that it makes a square bit down here on either side. And you know what? That's not too shabby. I suppose I could probably make them hollow and just do 2 pieces, square and square. Yeah, that's not a bad call. Let's just make a quick note of this. Wings. Let me grab my pattern here. Falling asleep at the PC. Oh. Better at the PC than at the machines, right? Okay, let's see here. We have a rectangle. It's 4 inches by 5. 4 inches by 5 inches. And then at the back, down in the wings, we'll plan on a little something like 2 squares. And then we'll plan on a beveled edge, a 45-degree beveled edge on this side. So we'll want it more than 5 inches. We'll do it 6 inches. 6 inches here. And then if we are doing a 6-incher there, and we do a just general, and a 5-incher there, that should be pretty good. Actually, let's do 6 and 6, and let's plan on beveling that edge as well. Use that last inch for beveling, put those two together, and then yeah, okay, cool. That should do the trick, and that'll give us the look that we want, while not having to bother with such a cut. And as long as we also make a nice triangle to go on the top and bottom and plug that up, it really won't make much of a difference. Nobody will see it. Now, if I actually had a skill saw or a scroll saw, well, a scroll saw, something like that. If I had one of those, then that wouldn't be a problem. I could just put them all together, glue them together, and then and zip cut that bit out. Whoa, why on earth? No, you're not supposed to be contacting me at that email address. So yeah, anyway, if it's like that, yeah, that'll be good. But if I had that, then I could easily glue those things together and then make that cut with a skill saw. I'd just have to sketch out the curve and then do it. But since I don't have access to that, I'll have to get a little bit more dangerous. And so a couple of these would do well. 4 inches by 6 inches. Six, 4, 6. Sorry. 4, 6. There we go. Just gotta draw that in there. Okay. So I'm not the best. I'm no artist. But basically, that's the little drawing that I made for myself to remind me exactly what's going to go on here, so that I can, even if I have to return to this after a little while, that I've got that thing to look at. And if I do it again some ways down the road, I can know, oh yeah, that's how I did it. That's how. So yeah. Anyway, I think that's about all that I have time for right now. Thanks, Rabble. You are far too kind. Yeah, I think that's all that I have the time for right now. Later on, I'll actually be practicing for a Nintendo race, wherein on Retro Games Live TV channel on Twitch, which you can actually check that out, retrogameslive.com. There's a website, and they've actually got a picture of me there, so an okay picture for that matter. But I'll be participating in a race, wherein we'll be racing Contra, which I've never beaten before in my life, and Super Mario Bros. 3, and no, I will be participating. Rabble, I will be participating in this race. I will be hosting the channel, and it will happen in October, at the beginning of October, and it'll be fantastic, I think. So I always worry about these discarded blades hurting someone, so I like to wrap them up so that they won't cut anybody accidentally. But anyway, what was I thinking about? Oh, yeah, so later on today, I'll actually be practicing that. So if anybody wants to come around, you're more than welcome to. I'll merely be streaming it to Twitch. It's unlikely that I'll be streaming to YouTube at the same time. So just FYI. Anyway, thanks for everybody for coming around. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the questions, and most of all, I appreciate you. You're terrific. Thanks. And yeah, if you had any questions about how to do this, I am still learning, so don't expect me to have all the answers, but at least I've learned some things, mostly through trial and error, but also through a little bit of preparation and watching some of the people who are legitimately and quite great at this. So I will catch you later, and Deathstorm, you came here just as I was wrapping up. Bad timing, yes indeed. But we are actually building this Mega Man costume, and, it would be a shame to leave you without anything, so let me show you the helmet, at the very least, because everything else is kind of out of arm's reach. So, but this is the helmet constructed out of EVA foam. It looks a little Magneto at the moment, but with a few more changes and some embellishments, it will very much so resemble what you see over there. So thanks for tuning in. Sorry that you landed here with such bad timing, but it's okay. We'll get it going, and later on tonight I'll be streaming some games, some retro games. Thanks, Deathstorm. Much appreciated. I'm glad that you like the look of it. So anyway, I'll be picking this back up. I won't be picking this up tomorrow, sadly. I would normally stream tomorrow, the costuming as well. However, tomorrow I'm actually going to be camping. So yeah. Thanks, Rabble. I think so as well. But thanks everybody for coming out. Winston, of course, thanks you as well. So, Winston the Kiwi, everybody. Winston loves you. And I appreciate your support. So thank you, and have a good one. And we will see you and talk to you later. Bye.